It's kind of funny, funny to me at least, that Todd Grantham is in here, and he's got a totally different situation than you do. He's got so many new guys. You have a very veteran unit. I wonder if you kid him about having to start all over with the basics. And on a serious note, what is it? What do you have to do when when you got a group that's all been together like that?
Right. No, nothing's really said about what both sides of the ball are going to work extremely hard trying to get our side ready and take nothing for granted as a coaching staff. And I think that's the main thing. I just answered this question downstairs. The main thing I'm looking for is attention to detail on our side of the ball. That none of our guys with experience, we do have experience, we do have returning players who've made big plays in games, that they take nothing for granted. Every detail is of the utmost importance, and day in and day out, we're focusing on the little things to get better daily.
Mike, what do you have to decide about your offensive line in terms of, do you have a good sense of kind of the pieces and all that?
How about that, don't you? Who the best five are. That's what we got to decide.
Coach, it's obvious you have a very veteran group, as he said. Is there any freshmen or younger players that have stepped up that might get snaps?
Well, freshmen, just freshmen, I'm trying to think freshmen that came in mid-year that we've actually worked with as a coaching staff. J.J. Green would be one who is a guy that possibly can see playing time offensively and special teams. I think we had a couple young linemen who I don't see expecting a tremendous amount from them this fall, but there are, the two other young running backs, Douglas and A.J. Turman. Hadn't had a chance to work with them, but we got to get those guys ready to play. We got to have depth at that position. So those two, and then some of those young receivers, and even the tight end Jordan Davis, with the departure of Ty Smith, we got to get him ready to play too.
Or Pernell Terry goes, is he going to be ready to be on the field next week?
On a limited basis, I'm not sure, whether they're going to have a green jersey or white, red, whatever color we wear that first day. But, he's going to be limited and doing, as tolerated, and just take him slow. We don't want to rush him back, but just working his way back.
Coach, I asked Coach Grantham about concussions and from the defensive side of the ball. For you, one of your main things is, you got to protect your quarterback and, your receivers when they come across are sometimes defensive or defenseless. How do you approach that, and with, not, keeping their head up, and, because football is a contact game.
Yeah, well, obviously we're not, when the guy's carrying the ball, you don't want them to lower their head. You want to get behind your pads and your shoulder pads, and that's how we coach when you run the football. Tackling, he's talking about keeping his head up and not leading with the top of your helmet. As far as, targeting the defensive player, that's something that the rules come up, and we just got to see how that goes. There's not anything that we're going to coach any different offensively, because I don't, on an interception or something like that, when our linemen or turnover, they could hit somebody, I guess. Just teaching the fundamentals how to play, and let the rule and officials administrate that. That's something that I can't control. We're just going to teach teach the right way to run the ball and stuff.
So I saw Xavier Ward was listed as the first string right tackle on the summer depth chart. With John Theus starting all the games as a true freshman, do you realistically expect that situation to continue?
Well, we'll see. We'll see when we have practice. After spring practice, Xavier Ward was number one, and then we'll practice the first day. And, Xavier Ward and John Theus will both get reps with the first team at right tackle, and it'll be an ongoing battle there. It'll be an ongoing battle at a lot of our places and positions. We like competition, and we're going to stress competition. Nobody's guaranteed anything just because they started so many games last year. You got to earn what's on the field. Last year's last year. Last year's offense is last year's offense. This is a whole nother year, a whole nother team. And that, what we do on the field starting August 1st is going to determine who's on the field on the 31st, I guess we play. Right? 31st.
Is there Bennett gonna be 100% out of the blocks?
I think he's close to 100%. You know, I don't want to give you the injury report. I know we're not supposed to say all about that, but I know he feels good about it. My conversations with him. He might still be wearing a smaller sleeve or brace, but the goal is to get him out of that. He says he feels great and feels fine, and you know, my conversations with him and the quarterbacks this summer is they like how he looks. And yeah, I've seen him walk around the other day. I think he's 5 pounds down. He looks great, and you know, but he's another guy. He might be on what you call a pitch count. You know, how many plays he takes out there. Probably just be smart. You know, it's one thing to, you know, he's been working out all summer and going on the grass and running 30, 45 minutes, and then throwing 2 times a week, and then now, hey, you're on the grass 2.5, 3 hours a day, and you're going every day. So we got to be smart as coaches. You know, I know he's going to be anxious, and Tramel Terry's going to be anxious, and to get out there, and all your players have that nervous energy and stuff. So you got to be smart as coaches to watch and make sure they don't do anything too fast to might injure themselves and hurt their chances of getting better during missing practice.
Is the expectation J.J. Green is a tailback for the short term, or kind of what's?
I can't answer that, Mark. I think he's going to be where needed, but I was pleased with what he did this spring at running back. You know, I think it's going to be where we feel like any of our players give us the best chance to win, and then also at the same time where that player has the best chance to be successful, where he feels comfortable. Coach has always been, hey, I'm not just moving a guy because I think that's the best for the team. That's going to be part of the reason, but the kid has to feel comfortable to play that position too. Because if they're not comfortable, then they're not going to be successful. So, you know, we'll just have to wait and see.
I'm assuming how Douglas and Turner progress probably impact that too.
Yeah, we got to find. You know, I'd like to have a third tailback. You know, I'd like to have a third and a fourth tailback. So, and all 3 of those guys are freshmen. You know, you do have Corinthus and Harden who have played in games and finished games for us. You know, not just a game like Mexico State, but Harden was even in Kentucky a couple years ago to start leader rushing over 100 yards. So there are guys there at that position. You know, I do like we've got some bigger guys in Douglas and Turman, and we got to get those guys ready and you know, get them on special teams, get them playing, get them confidence. Treat them like we treated Gurley and Marshall last year. We're planning on playing them, and I think they're excited about it. And from what I've seen, they're smart young men who hopefully can pick up the offense.
Along those same lines, kind of talking about the fullback position, it seems to kind of get lost in the shuffle with all the.
It does. You know, in our offense, the fullback, you know, is kind of more like an offensive lineman. Don't get talked about a lot. You know, Merritt Hall stepped in last year, got it, was a walk-on, and basically ended up being our starter until he got hurt at the Florida game, and did an outstanding job for us. Ogletree also played last year, and Ogletree's no longer with us, but now Quavon Hicks came in the spring and had an outstanding spring. He's kind of what you look for in a fullback, the body type, weighing 255, 260 pounds, can run, can strike. He's just learning the nuances of playing that position. He had never played that in high school. He was a nose guard. So his transformation was big, and he actually overtook Merritt in the spring as the starter. But I see both those guys competing this spring to see who can beat the guy, and I'm excited about both those guys.
As someone who's worked with Coach Richt for a number of years now, he was one of the longest tenured guys at SEC Media Days. How have you seen him kind of evolve and grow as a coach over that time?
Well, you know, I think one of the main things that makes Coach so successful is just his temperament and how he approaches, you know, everything. He never gets too up or too down, and he's kind of maintained. He is who he is, you know. He doesn't really, you know, change because somebody over here says he should be doing this, or somebody says he should be doing this over on this side of the spectrum. He's going to be who he is, and he's going to go about the business the way he believes in it. And I think that's why we've had success in Georgia. So to answer your question, he just continues to be himself and doesn't change for what people or outside influences think he might need to do. He's going to do what he thinks is best for the program and for these kids.
Has he changed you anyway, just being around that type of guy?
There's no doubt. I'm a little more fiery sometimes, and I think I've always got to be myself. You know, if I'm not myself, I'm fake, and maybe the players, won't believe in what I'm saying, so I'm gonna be myself, but I think it's allowed me to be, more calm in situations, have a better temperament, and you gotta be that way when dealing with quarterbacks. I think sometimes you gotta apply pressure to them, and I like doing that. So at the same time, you gotta let them know that, have that even keel, that temperament, and the calm about you. And you gotta be calm when you're calling plays. I think that's helped. And then just, your everyday life, how he walks about in his life, I think it's been good for me, and, family and, raising kids and husband, father, just an outstanding role model to work for, really.
Do you take anything from last year as maybe if you get in a tough spot this year to get that team to, you overcame this last year? Because you got a lot of the same guys,
Right. Well, there's no doubt. There is that confidence there that these guys have had success. So that is something that we will build on. And these kids don't lack confidence. They believe that they're going to light up the scoreboard every time they touch the field. So I'm kind of the guy that tries to bring them down to earth every once and say, hey, we got to go to work and do this to get where we want to go. But that, there are times that you will refer back to things that we've had success, or an individual has had success, because that one time one guy makes a play or he makes two, that might be the thing that's going to get him over the edge. A guy I would point to that hopefully is an example of that is Justin Scott Wesley, who I think needed confidence. Was kind of just a couple years searching a little bit, and made a couple plays last year, and in the bowl game made 3 catches. I think 2 of them were for third down conversion, maybe 3 of them. And I think really got him some confidence and had a great spring, has had a good summer, and I think that right there is something we'll refer back to him as an individual to hopefully propel him into having a successful year.
Hey, I heard a recent interview with Todd Gurley. He refers to himself as kind of the jokester and stuff on the field. Can you remember any examples of that? Can you talk about how he carries himself?
Well, he's not, the thing about Todd, he's not afraid to speak up sometime or talk, where a lot of freshmen come in and they're like mutes. They're not gonna say anything. They're afraid to open their mouth. And he will talk. He will break down a huddle. And sometimes it might not be a Georgia or family. It might be something funny. And that's unusual for a freshman sometimes to step in there and take a lead, but I think he has a lot of leadership skills because he's willing to talk and willing to say something. And then he's silly. I hear the guys say, well, Todd's the most, the silliest guy on the team. They make fun of what he wears all the time. I don't know. I don't pay attention because I think they all look silly with what they wear. But he's not afraid to speak and have a good time. And have fun, and that's one of the things we stress, as a staff all the time. Let's have fun. It's a grind. Camp's a grind. Football's hard, but we want to have fun out there. And it doesn't bother me at all when a guy, cracks a joke out there or having a good time. And I like that.
Mike, you think the offense needs to prepare itself on maybe carry the load these first few games so the defense gets its feet a little bit?
I think offense needs to prepare on getting better every day. We got to ignore everything I talk about all the time, ignore the noise. 2 years ago we wouldn't work the crowd.
Yeah.
Last year, defense don't carry it. It don't matter. We got to do, as an all, we got to get ready to play the game the best we can. And at the end of the day, we're going to play as a team. And however the first game, second game happens, all that doesn't matter. We got to get better, but we can execute our assignment and get ready to attack our first opponent, then our second opponent, then our third opponent. I can't answer how you're going to win every game. There might be some games where we have to, score some points. There might be some games where, we're not scoring. And there might be some games where we got to hold the ball. Some games we got to score faster. Each game dictates sometimes your philosophy. Overall philosophy is not going to change. We're going to want to be a balanced football team. We want to be able to run the ball and throw the ball equally effectively. We want to be able to physically line up and run some power runs at you and have some play pass and then still be a high percentage spread football team. That's our basic philosophy offensively, but how we go about that each game, is determined a little bit different each game and who we're playing in the game plan.
Aaron did talk about last week about being in mid-season form early on.
Coaches talked to our guys a lot about that, being ready to go in that first game because of the opponent. But I think you always want to try to be, playing on a high level every time you step on the field. Obviously you're not going to be the very best in that first game, because you don't have any games. There's no preseason games in college football, so it's hard. There are gonna be kinks, that we gotta work out, but that's something Coach talks a lot about, to the guys, is being ready to go and being ready to play extremely well in the first game because of the opponent. And the way you do that is the way I'm gonna talk, when I talk to them on whatever day my first meeting is, the way you do that is you handle your business day in and day out, and getting better. So, and there's some things we're gonna do a little bit different practice-wise, as far as play count and reps and maybe going ones-on-ones a little bit more, to help with that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, we just gotta handle our stuff on a daily basis.
Does Murray's experience and success to this point, does it kind of open the door to some responsibilities and things that you wouldn't normally see, just because he's been here so long and you've got such trust with him?
No, there's no question. There's, and really since halfway of last year, it's really not anything that I didn't feel comfortable giving him. Really, he understands the whole playbook. He's really an extension of our offensive staff, so to speak. I think where he's really grown to me is in his leadership. 2 years ago, we talked about improving that, and he worked hard at it, and then this year, I think he's taken it to another level. And I think that's where it's gonna make the difference, the leadership aspect and holding other guys accountable and getting them to prepare like he prepares. There was no doubt all the time in his career that his preparation was second to none, but can you get this guy and this guy and this guy to prepare and work like you do? That's what a great leader can do. And I think he's worked real hard at that. As far as scheme-wise, there's nothing that I don't feel like we can't give him to handle. And I said it a million times last year. It's not just him; it's that offensive line. It's a smart group. Whichever way we end up putting them, Mark, we ought to put out there which way. But they're a smart group that can handle a lot of stuff. And I think that's another reason we have success on offense because of their knowledge.
What's your big talking point with Leary? I mean, statistically, it was outstanding last year. You talk about leadership improvement. Like, what?
Well, number one was leadership. Expanding on what I thought he did last offseason and improving that. And the second thing is spinning some plays. Early in his career, that's really all he did was look to extend the play and run around. And we worked hard at becoming a complete quarterback, of progressing and working the pocket and going from your first progression to your second, and knowing when to throw the ball away, not forcing it, those things. And now, hey, I think we're doing a good job of that. But sometimes when we go 1, 2, 3, we're maybe just getting down and protecting the ball instead of maybe there are times when we got to feel it. We got to extend plays. College football so much now is you see guys that can extend a play with their legs. I'm not talking you got to be like RG3 or Kaepernick at San Francisco, those type of things. But it's a slide in the pocket. It's a move to the right. It's making a throw and a run. And this spring we had, hey, if you extend the play, you get this bank, or so we were trying to say, hey, there's an example of extending a play. Because it's never going to be perfect when you drop back, you hitch twice, you go to your second progression, boom, completion. And that doesn't happen really. It's move to the side, slide to the right, step up, run 2 yards, bang, throw a ball. So working on those things, drilling those things, I think that's one area of improvement that he could improve on. And we talked about in the offseason, he worked hard in the spring. He's in the best shape of his life. That's why I think he's working as hard as he is. He's down 5 or 6 pounds, 201, 202. Feels like he's more athletic because we've talked about extended play. So those are the 2 main things. And then the constant getting better as a quarterback, the attention to detail, the little things. And he's a guy I've never really had to worry about that. He has attention to detail. He's never been a guy that's, okay, I've threw this many touchdowns, I've arrived. He's never had that attitude. He's a relentless worker. So it's kind of just pointing him in the right direction of what I want you to work on. If you give him too much, he's going to try to do everything and master it. So it's mainly continued leadership and